looking at these teams, I mean, I'm just going to take a look at the rosters if that's all right. As we're in setup time, like. Taking a look at Russia, I do think they're going to try to go for the AE push. I mean, you've got Lightclaw on Scout. We have Utka, those Russian characters there. Utka is the soldier. DQZ on Pyro. So it's Utka and DQZ who are not their regular players who are into this Russian lineup compared to the Kitty Premiership roster. Crime on Demo, Poker on Heavy, Premiership Heavy of the season Poker, that is. Miaf on NG, Pahan on Medic, Fuzzkey on Sniper, and TS on Spy. And these guys know how to play payload and stopwatch maps. When you compare it to the Finnish roster, Karpi on Scout, Junu on Soldier, Nikoro on Pyro, Skyper Demo, Ripe on Heavy, Bloodis NG, Goz on Medic, Ollie on Sniper, and Mignando on Spy. These players all have a lot of experience either at the top level of Sixes or Highlander. They know how to play these maps. I'm just wondering whether their synergy is going to be on point as Russia.
And real quick, as the gates drop before the action gets too intense, I want to give a quick shout out to manco.store, our sponsors for this event, helping to make sure this coverage happens. Appreciate that so much. Go give them a checkout after the match is done. Nothing crazy going off right now. We do have some pressure of Ripe and Juno heading straight towards B, and they get taken out, but the A capture will happen without any problems.
Yeah, I mean, that's what we see. Most teams these days, long gone are the days anyone trying to defend A with any sort of defense. Just leave A to be capped. And then now it's all about Russia deciding whether to put the most of their resources. Are they going to hard hold B, or are Finland going to try and go for some pressure around to E, and they're going to have to rotate? But like we see here, Russia very comfortable, holding very close on B.
Yeah, on A, they just have a Spy and a Soldier. The last match I watched, and I know a lot of times you just see the Scout over there. And looks like the Scout is heading over to assist a little bit. But on the B side, still maintaining a pretty good defensive structure here, as they've gotten some big frag. Heavy Weapons guy is going to get stabbed down, but Crime jumping over will see that Spy and be able to shut down any further action. So just 3 players up, and the Sniper getting taken down at the same time as a bunch of players respawning here. Sniper will be back shortly.
DK's here with the hammer time there, just power jacking. I'm just noticing Fuzzkey for Russia, the Sniper, is on the Huntsman. He is just constantly pinging arrows down that connector. I'm guessing, I don't know, both of these snipers play in Prem. They're very experienced, and he gets the headshot to Blood is there with the arrows. I mean, I'm not sure whether this is a conscious decision or whether it's a little bit of BM here, but the Uber's going to come in here, eXtine, and it's really bad for Finland.
Yeah, not good at all. They were trying to walk it up the stairs a little bit earlier, but that also got shut down. Crime very low health on the side, but otherwise it's been a very successful Uber charge for the Russians, able to completely stuff this. And Skyper even pretty low, has to back up. Fuzzkey gets another kill. One of the other benefits of using this Huntsman is he's right by the Pyro, so he keeps getting those arrows lit on fire, just adding to the hilarity of it, as he gets another one as well.
He's top scoring for his team. Other than the Medic right now, he's top scoring for his team. I mean, Crime's on a 6-kill streak. Crime's doing an excellent job at just kind of changing where he's placing his traps, and then just constant pressure when he's got the ability to take that space. But Fuzzkey, I don't know. I mean, he's not in the sightline. That's the thing. So Ollie doesn't have much to work with. He can't kind of wait and sort of try to go for the sniper. And there we go. He goes down again because Fuzzkey's just jumping in and out of this sightline, and Finland need to find another way to deal with this.
Yeah, certainly a great situation for the Huntsman. Everybody's just piled up into that hallway, and as you mentioned, it does give a good advantage on the sight lines. He knows where everybody's coming from. He knows there's going to be targets, so just kind of spamming over and over again continues to pay off. He gets Mignando on the Spy that time. Here comes the Uber charge up top, and unfortunately, Goz does kind of get shoved back a bit. Skyper does actually is getting left alone, so he is able to get that sentry gun down. So there could be some trouble here for Russia. At the same time, though, Fuzzkey's still getting some damage down here. Blutus with the flank on Fuzzkey, though. It does finally get him down with a pistol. At the same time, Ripe goes down. Ollie gets stabbed as well. You see the Red Spy actually lurking into a pretty good position here. Going to go for more stabs here, and actually just runs through the entire crowd. So that's unfortunate.
Yeah, Blood is there. Actually getting pretty aggressive. And Mignando, in all that chaos of the engine running into them, gets the backstab onto Bahan, and this is so much space now for Finland to take advantage of. The spawns and the heals are definitely on their side.
Yeah, it looks like the dam has finally broken here, as Finland will be able to move through here. And it was a couple of events all piled up together. First off, Skyper getting the kill on the sentry gun before he went down, and then that backstab as well as big Fragger Fuzzkey getting taken down. So with those three things combined together, there's no chance whatsoever for Russia to be able to hold that. And in fact, it looks like based off the circumstances that quite the push going into the C point here. Skyper also gets 2K right on the doors there. So we'll be able to capture B, I'd anticipate here.
Yeah, I don't think C is going to be defended whatsoever here by Russia. They're only at 50%, and Goz is at 100%. They have this huge advantage, and Russia kind of a bit reeling there. You know, that push really shouldn't have been successful on B because Finland just focused down the Engie and the Sentry, and you know, Russia should have been able to just sandwich them, but it worked out well for the Finns in the end. So they've got the C point. 440 is, I guess, pretty average for the first 3 points. It's just the majority of that time was on B. But Russia at 90%, Finland, in the pit.
He was standing on the bridge, nobody's fault but his own that he went down there. And certainly a big issue because they've basically kind of given up on trying to push D. They're really committed to this C push. We discussed it very briefly, kind of the exchange of strategies, you know, whether you just go, points 1 through 5 or you take a break. And I would say that the C point here is where you get an opportunity to switch your tactics and say, okay, yeah, let's put some time on E, and then that'll relieve some pressure on D. But instead, Finn's got to be careful because they've basically got absolutely nothing going on, and this is like a blank slate right now.
Absolutely. I mean, Russia they were so close to getting the Uber, 90% when Finland Ubered in, and they did get it. There was a combination of Crime and Poker who just took down everybody, including Goz. Ripe there goes down. So Russia do have the Uber advantage here, but exactly what you said here. You can see Russia holding in what most people in Europe call the white room, which is what connects E and A and the D points. And the thing about capturing the C point, for those of you who haven't played Steel very much before, is that once you've captured the C point, the bridges extend out onto the E point. So before you capture C, the only players that can actually get onto that point are things like the Scout, the Demo, the Soldier, maybe even a Pyro if they're going to use the flare gun to get over there. But now with the C point captured, Finland have a lot more options, and they have the Uber now, eXtine, and Russia are losing a ton of players.
Yeah, that's actually a really good push in. McNando got a stab and sap on the Sentry Gun and Engineer. The Red Spy is going to try to get in behind Blutus and also mix things up, as Blutus has a very nice level 3 Sentry covering the point right now. And Finland are putting pretty good time on here, and looks like it could be difficult for the Russians to get out. They do have an overcharge here that they use, but he's going to run right into Ripe. He's going to be able to shove him back a bit. Oh no, and Junu clumsily trying to jump across into heaven and instead ends up in hell.
Absolutely. It was a really interesting choice from the banner there. He was using the buff banner. Not something you usually see that often, but I thought the combination of the Uber and the buff banner might have been perfect. But then he just jumps into the pit, and Russia, because of kind of that lack of coordination from the Finns, have been able to regroup and take over BC. Skype has gone down here. Ollie's going to get cleaned up by Poker as well. Look at Poker. He's basically already on the B point.
Yeah, this is really aggressive play, and actually McNando is trying to get the flank in, coming in from E. Pyro well on top of that throws him into the pit. So the pit, if it was hungry, has been getting fed today. Plenty of players going down there.
It's like, I swear yesterday I saw about 5 people fall in the pit. I don't know how many saw on Friday. I mean, the pit has been well and truly fed in the past few days. But at the moment, Finland looking a little bit out of ideas. I mean, nice stab by TS there. It's going to stop Skyper. And you see Miaf, he's got what we call Heaven. Up in Heaven area there, he's got level 3. That blocks the E point. So Finland maybe try to get some pressure onto D instead.
Yeah, and exactly that. They've just started doing so. Kind of an awkward Ubercharge here as they're trying to run the heavy weapons guy into White Room. But basically, by the time he gets there, the Ubercharge has expired. So the counter Uber coming in here from Russia and actually should be able to get a good amount of work here. Actually, Pyro can't get all the way to the Sentry Gun. Sentry Gun extremely weak, but actually that Rescue Ranger healing it from afar is going to help out. The Spy, with a little bit of help from the Soldier, though, will be able to get the kill on the gun.
I mean, all of these exchanges kind of start to look pretty good for Finland at the start, and then it just falls into the favor of Russia, which is not something you usually see on Steel, because right now Finland have instant respawns and Russia respawns are anything between 20 and 25 seconds, but they're just winning the fights after the exchanges, and Finland really need to maybe just go a bit further in Light Claw with the sword, takes down the medic, and that's going to give an Uber advantage to the hand. That's at least 50% eXtine. Finland need to come through with maybe a different idea here.
Yeah, certainly. They tried that D capture, but just so very lightly of only throwing a couple players over there. Right now, Juno and Ripe also getting backstabbed, so 2 key players taken out.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting that Russia really don't seem to be under pressure. That's the thing I'm noticing right now. I mean, normally on defense on Steel, you're constantly having to regroup and rotate your defense somewhere. You're either on E spawn or on your A spawn, and you're moving around. And Finland aren't really pressuring them from any more than one angle. They've got a couple of kills there. Make that 3 actually. That's the third of the Russian defense down. But now they're all going to the same place, and you really want to see people maybe pressuring E and then pressuring D at the same time. Get those simultaneous caps down and really stretch that Russian defense.
Yeah, I haven't really seen much pressure from them going through the white room. Right now, the whole team has rotated into D and are going to see what they can get done here. But it's very telegraphed, and that's the thing. You know, you still need some of your pick classes like Spy and Sniper messing with E while you're trying to get into D, so that, you know, if you draw players over to defend D, then all of a sudden the engineer doesn't have anybody helping him out, you know. And then once that's gone, then you fake E again because there's no sentry, and then all of a sudden you're capturing D. But Finland instead seems very single-minded, you know, of like, okay, well, we'll send 2 players over to D to distract. That didn't work out. This time they tried to run the whole team over to D, and again, that didn't work out because very telegraphed, easy for the Russians to rotate their defense over. And now it looks like they're seemingly trying to send their whole team over to B again. Spy TS does get caught out, and actually a couple really big frags here. So 4 players down for 20 seconds. It's a big opening, but just trying to shove into E might... Well, okay, there we go. Heavy gets thrown down in a point. Sentry gun is getting sapped out. So they have a strong force here, but again, it just takes so long to capture E straight up that, you know, without D being captured, it's still hard to really choke everything off here. But everybody's dead, so... Yeah. As the Russians respawn here, 10 seconds on the next wave of respawns. We'll see if they can actually get in here and break up this capture at all.
Yeah, that was a wipe there, not something you usually see in such kind of unceremonious circumstances. It wasn't really an Uber going on, it was just a dry push. And Gauze does have 100% up with Ripe in heaven, but like you said, because they haven't captured the D point, it does leave that E spawn really open, and Russia are just cleaning up here. They take down a whole bunch of people. DQZ on the point uses forces the Uber and just pushes them off the point.
Yeah, and the Diplomat is up for Russia. The Finns have a lot of players up, but it's all about local numbers, as right now they don't have a lot over there. Oh my god, though. Crime falls down into the pit, and that's actually a huge death, because if he had still been able to survive here, his spam could have really messed with the players on the point quite a bit. Lightclaw's going to get a late kill on the medic, but it looks like that's going to do it for our first half here. 11:54. I certainly would put that in the slow category.
Absolutely. I mean, exactly what you were saying now. When they were trying to capture the E point, they're really focusing when they got that wipe. Sometimes you get a little bit over ego. You think everyone on the enemy team's dead, let's all just pile on the E point. It would have been a better idea maybe to send 1 or 2 people over to D, so at least that cap was kind of ticking off slowly. So when the Russian defense came out, they would have been like, okay, do we block D first? Do we send some people to D? Instead, Russia were able to send everybody to the E points, and because they hadn't capped D yet, it meant that the E side spawn was open, so they could just walk out the door and protect the point directly from the doorway. And that was really what cost Finland some more seconds there. That was maybe 30 seconds or more. And sometimes in games we see how close these rounds can be. And if those kind of 30 seconds do come into play, they'll be kicking themselves. So they didn't maybe think a little bit further ahead, but definitely 11:53 as it's kind of been rounded down there. Russia are going to be very comfortable and very confident that they can beat this time.
Yeah, I would think so. And looks like Fuzzy back on the Huntsman, so we saw him run that on defense controlling B. It seemed to make a lot of sense. I'm not quite sure if the angles will work out as well for him pushing from B, but there you go. Just got Carpy.
I mean, I was just going to agree with you, and then I think we both just got proven wrong, where he's taken down the scout. I mean, I don't think he's going to win the sniper battle with Ollie there. I think Ollie's just in the perfect position to just kind of take pot shots whenever he wants, but I do think Russia will be thinking quite hard about maybe going for an AE push here, because I know they love it. They love it.
Yeah, and actually it looks like they're sending quite a few players over this direction.
Pan drops!
Wow.
He drops the Latronja. I think Mignando doesn't get the backstab. He gets a couple of shanks in and then just finishes him off with the pea shooter. So Russia kind of plans there, just thrown in the garbage, and now Finland can kind of have a little minute or two to breathe and just reset themselves and compose on B point. That's bought them at least 40 seconds to a minute.
Well, yeah, and this is going to fall apart as well, because they still have some peoples pushing through the A point, but like, what are you going to accomplish? You're just basically wasting time. Py-bun is over here as well. He actually picks up a saw on Mignando and is back up to 60% already, so he might have even gotten 2 hits there.
Yeah, I mean, it's not really, getting a drop is good, but if you're going to gift a couple of swords there, that may, I don't know, it just shortens the time that drop was effective for. I guess it's not the end of the world. But it does look like Russia want to go for the traditional kind of B exchange here, maybe. They're getting some time on E just to divert the attention a bit, but I do think they do want to pressure, and they've used really early here, eXtine. I don't think it's going to be good over, but everyone else on Finland is just dying by the wayside.
Yeah, plus their demo man is the player that went back to deal with that E capture, which is a pretty crucial, set of eyes and damage that you need on that B point to kind of keep people away from the corner. And just to kind of help your other teammates get frags, due to the demo man able to spit so much damage. But Finland is going to have to retreat out of the B point, and better circumstances for them here than it was on the flip side. And they might be able to, the Finnish team might be able to put up a defense on the C point, not just concede it instantly. But here comes a nice stab. Actually gets 2. Heavy weapons guy and the demo man, or the pyro, excuse me.
Yeah, I mean, those are pretty good. I mean, Pyro is such an important class, especially around this portion of the map. Of course, you can push people into the pit. That looks fancy, but at the same time, you can also deny so much space in that BC connector. And Finland don't have very many eyes. Karpi has to alert his team as to what the Russians are doing, because they've gone all the way around here and they're trying to get control of the east side spawn. Skype has gone down. He's down for 23 seconds. That's really not good. And Bloodis has kind of preempted this by getting a level 2 up. And Russia have kind of been stalled a little bit, but this is kind of going to try and lock down areas so they can get some cap time on E, which is what Lightclaw is doing right now.
Yeah, that's an interesting defense of D this early. Blutus now moves the sentry gun over just a little bit. But I really like this E pressure. As I mentioned, I sort of prefer for C to be captured, but at the same time, I think that this pressure on E can even continue. Yeah, Lightclaw getting up there. And look how many players are down for Finland, actually.
Yeah. They just got split apart there. So they tried to go and defend C. There's an E cap going on. Lightclaw's been on there, and their flank was trying to block it, but Udko's been doing such a great job in just controlling Heaven, and there you go. He helps get the kill onto Skyper. Fuzky getting the headshot. But the majority of the combo of Russia went to C, and that was where the bulk of the defense was. And when Finland went there, they just weren't ready, and they just lost so many players. Russia with 100% Uber, and they're nearly capping this E point.
Yeah, Crime goes down. Lightclaw bouncing around. He's been leaving and coming back, just having to pick up health packs, and then returning to the point. Ubercharge is out here, and Lightclaw going to get on the point again, gets a nice little flash there as C gets captured. Oh wow, look where the heavy weapons guy is. Poker just barely, it worked out in his favor for a little bit there as he was kind of tucked away and still able to throw some damage out. Oh no, there we go, another one. Crime thrown into the pit. I want to say he jumped and then got headshot. I think that's what shoved him backwards.
Yeah, I mean, that would be my excuse all the time.
Yeah.
Someone shot me in the pit. Finland aren't in terrible shape right now. Look at Ripe and Gozar, they're in heaven, they have control, and they're just shooting people on the point. Mignando cleaning up, but no,
there goes
people
another
just
one.
Poker in the pit again for the second time. He keeps getting donked off with that loose cannon from Skyper here. Maybe Skyper's thinking, hang on a minute, I've worked something out here. If I can't kill them, I'll just push them off the barrier into the pit.
Yeah, that's certainly a good tactic. Oh gosh, I thought Py-bun was going to fall down in there. And if they can capture D, then they'll get those railings. That'll help prevent that tactic a little bit, but they're still kind of having problems here. Podsker gets stabbed down, but so many players able to capture, and I think the soldier switched over to the pain train as well, so they got that ×5 on the point, and this should be wrapped up for Russia. So very strong offense from them, and Finland not quite able to keep up. Some interesting rotations from the Russians that most of them seem like they didn't really pay off, but certainly at the end there with how much pressure they were able to get on E, that led to a very, very easy capture on C, and then they didn't even really need D, just everything going their way.
Yeah, I mean, you have to let's bring into account the fact that Py-bun actually dropped the first Uber of the game. You know, as he was walking out of spawn, he gets dropped. So Russia, despite not having an Uber right at the start of the game, managed to build one up again and then have a very kind of. They weren't directly going for a single point. They tried to go for the E point. They tried to go for the B point. They kept Finland guessing, and they were just getting stretched and pulled apart. And as we know, the further you spread those defenses, the easier it is to find a hole and get in. And Russia did get a great exchange onto B, managed to cap that one. But the big thing was the fact that they were getting simultaneous caps and pressure down on E and C. And because Lightclaw and Utka were kind of controlling that E area, when the combo went on to C, Finland were just overwhelmed, despite having an Uber themselves. And I think that's what really was impressive from Russia. Finland did well, but Russia were really just constantly rotating, and that's what this map is all about. Rotate until you find the hole and take that hole and make the space and go in and cap the point, and Russia have done that perfectly. So 1-0 to them, but I feel there's a round in here for Finland, but they just really need to kind of work on that offense and really just, I don't know, a little bit of killer instinct perhaps.
Yeah, certainly. Looking at the logs from the first half as well, which we'll pull those up when we get to the end game, but it looks like almost 50 more frags for the Russians, so 133 to 87. So pretty surprising stuff there, and that definitely tells you a little bit about the aggressiveness and the way that the Russians have been able to capitalize on those frags that they found.
Yeah, I mean, First King actually top fragged with 23, but it's Crime there, 560 damage per minute, 22 kills.
That's nutty, yeah.
I think Crime was really the real big influence. He was just not letting people in through those chokes, and now Finland maybe have to try and do the same there. Try and get a bit of a longer time here. I know some teams prefer attacking second because they want to know what the kind of time they're aiming to beat. So maybe Finland will be slightly more comfortable in this position.
Yeah, it'll come down to what their defense can do here as well. There can be a lot of pressure if Russia gets another fast capture. And you're thinking, oh man, we got 12 minutes on the first half, and just kind of puts you in a tough spot. But as you said as well, you know, some teams I think do. Oh, nice. Yeah, McNando, that was great. Was able to get up on that roof early, and Py-bun again drops pushing into A.
I mean, I'm of course, Assassin's Creed stab is the first thing that comes to mind. But on my screen, it did look like Pan turned around. It looked like he was staring McNando in the face, but obviously hitboxes for backstabs when you're on top of people can get a little bit muddled. Yeah. I mean, we'll see if Russia can kind of regroup like they did in the previous round, because they're in basically exactly the same situation.
Yeah, definitely, where they're still kind of committing to this A push early. I mean, and actually Py-bun, similarly to last time, runs over. This time it's got to be a little bit more careful, because it's just him and the heavy weapons guy, and they're getting to the EB connector, and the scout's still in spawn, so he just comes out while the heavy weapons is trying to fight 5 guys or something in front of him. Gets taken out. All those tactics do kind of create some space on the corner, so I mean, maybe it's calculated medic throws, you know, realizing like, okay, if we run the medic and we have in the heavy over to E, they're just going to freak out. They're going to freak out so much that we can just walk into B for free, because that's actually what's happening right now. Look how far up that heavy weapons guy was able to get before really being contested at all. So, you know, just kind of putting some scare tactics into Finland about E, really opening up that B defense. And that's one of the things, is it actually takes so long to capture E, you actually can let people just deal with it for a while. I think that the Finns maybe freaked out about that A push again.
Yeah, I mean, it seemed really strange there. Goz has had 100% for the entire round so far, and they just lost so many people that despite having an Uber, knowing that Py-bun's died twice, didn't have an Uber in play, they couldn't do anything with it because they just have the bodies to contest. And Russia just seemed to be holding that W key, not scared of the fact that there is an Uber.
Gosh.
Crime with the drop.
Yeah, and Crime coming from the side there, and again...
Wait, sorry, Py-bun dropped as well. Py-bun dropped to Karpi, so both meds drop in the space of about 1 to 2 seconds of each other.
But yeah, I think the root of the problem with Gauze is that indecisiveness, you know, and we mentioned it beforehand. You said that the Russian team, 7 out of 9 have played together, while the Finnish team more of a stack of talented players. And when you have a stack of talented players, I mean, I'm not sure who's the captain. I'm not sure if the captain is a really assertive voice, or if they're having issues either, you know, hearing a call, following a call, or also just making a call could be the problem, because they got completely sandwiched in that last major engagement.
Yeah, it's just kind of, they're just getting out-stratted almost.
Yeah.
Which it seems surprising, although they are getting some time onto E now. But Finland on C look comfortable right now. They're okay. I mean, 2 minutes 11 for the first couple of points. If they can stay here for another couple of minutes and then rotate round and can continue to defend E, they're going to be okay with this. I think they're not stressing out right now. Whereas Russia, things have not been going well for them. They haven't actually had an Uber so far in this round. You know, Py-bun has died, 3 times, dropped twice. So Russia have got the first 2 points based off of that. And Py-bun is extremely weak. Again, he's down to 20 HP. Manages to survive. He just gets that Uber eXtine. But Russia, they're skating on thin ice.
Yeah, it's been a little sketchy here, and this is where a team can kind of shoot themselves in the foot with attempts to push E, you know, where you just end up not really accomplishing anything overall. And Py-bun is just sort of awkwardly over here in the white room with a pyro, and they're just kind of controlling the white room and shifting back and forth. Over on C, Gauze has an Uber charge. Actually has to be a little bit careful here. Rotation from the pyro DQZ does get picked up. If he got a little bit further without being noticed, that could have been devastating for the Finns. Good exchange between the soldiers, and the Russian soldier Utka is going to come out ahead on that.
Yeah, and at the moment, Russia have got ×3 on the point. It's Poker and Lightclaw who are getting some time on the C point, and Utka is just stopping them from getting much pressure on, because he's just spamming what we call shelf dead Skyper, lovely pipes, takes down Lightclaw. So that C point is stopped at the moment, and Ubers are going to be exchanged in BC here, but they lose Crime. Crime has been dropped. We talk about how important he was after that first round, and Poker is in a position to do some damage, but gets taken straight away by Ollie. This is just chaos right now.
Yeah, great stab by TS. I didn't see him lurking back there. But otherwise, besides that, TS actually going in for the Pyro now, gets the stab on the Pyro. So unfortunately, the C defense has fallen apart now. Was going really solid. I was a little bit cautious, concerned with them being in that BC connector hallway for such a long time, and some pressure on C going unchecked. I think now, though, it seems like actually some of these Finnish players are still hanging around C, and it's like, I think you guys need to get over and fight on E right now. The heavy weapons guy, Soldier, and Sniper are trying to do that. But look at how much time is on this point, and there's nobody out here that's really able to contest it. Juno fighting on the side. He goes down, ×4, and looks like it's going to complete. Finns dropping the ball there.
Yeah, I was going to say, like, during that kind of situation on C, I was going to say that at the moment the map is being very chaotic. This round is being played, not a shambles, but just all over the place. Not really any kind of precision going on, not really anything clinical happening from either side. And that is obviously benefiting Finland, because Russia do have this experience playing together with the majority of their roster. These guys have played together for the past few seasons. You know, we're talking about the best part of year. They played at a LAN together, so they know how to play together on this map. And if you allow the game on a map like this, which is all about synergy and chemistry, if you allow it to devolve into a bit of a DM fest, then you're losing one of your biggest powers. You know, you're allowing the Finns to get into it. And Finland were looking very comfortable, but during all of that, there was just a bit of a kind of a spark of genius maybe, or just kind of some comms between them. Utka and Lightclaw just saying, hey, we're going to try and get some pressure onto E, and Finland can cope with that. So Finland showing that individually there are times where they can come out and actually make it work, but definitely not an unbeatable time here. Finland 6 minutes to try and beat this, and they take down DQZ very early on.
Yeah, they're gonna have to get some things started here. Mike Nando is decloaking behind unnoticed, coming in, did another drop on Py-bun. So that is pretty fantastic. But there's also been some defense over at A, as Lightclaw and Utka over there doing some work. The Blue Scout Carpi coming in. Spy chooses not to show himself, and we'll see if Utka tries to get a little bit further out here. But yeah, more players coming in here from Finland, so they will kind of clearly see that the capture should succeed on A.
This is not looking very good for Finland right now. I mean, sorry, not Finland, Russia. Finland have got the A cap, and while they're doing that, they've pushed into B. They didn't completely clear it out, and they've allowed the situation to turn into a sort of an equal Uber situation, but they're in deep here, and they're trying to fight, and they have got a banner going. Russia still have a level 3. It's going to be very difficult for them to take down.
Yeah, and the heal situation not very good as Gauss goes down as well. So that certainly puts an end to this push. And yeah, they couldn't quite get around the corner. I mean, they had the corner essentially, but now Fuzzkey getting a snipe on Cyper, and that gun actually being scooted up. So they're going to try to reclaim the corner here, and I think they do have a good opportunity to do so, especially because they have an Uber charge, the Russians that is. Nice stab on Crime, who we've mentioned has been a key player for the Russians, but 4:20 left on the clock here. And Finn's struggling to get into B here.
Yeah, I mean, bit of a misplay perhaps, not capturing that A point and really getting stuff done, but good to take down Junior with ease there. And they're just cleaning up some plays. There's not really much Finland are trying to do. Karpi is actually gone all the way around behind, and he's getting some cap time on E, and there's no one from Russia anywhere close. So Lightclaw is going to be the one to try and go and clean him up, and maybe that'll be enough of a distraction for them to maybe go for an Uber chase. Now Karpi actually takes down Lightclaw. So Karpi is still on the E point, ×2, and there's no one actually going to contest him, so he's going to get a lot of cap time here.
And actually Mief has got a funny little teleporter there. It's from the corner of B back to the B-C connector hallway. So just kind of an escape route, but has enabled him to shift backwards. In the meantime as well, Finland, it's like, okay, you just pulled all of their players back to E. What are you going to do? Push through A to go for E? Question mark? You know?
Yeah, I mean, there was Mignando there on B, goes in for the sap against Miaf, and saps the sentry, gets some damage down on it. You just think how well that could have worked out if he'd done that and his team had been helping him on B and gone in and sort of Ubered in. But the Uber exchange is going to go, and it's so much more in the favor of Russia here that Finland really can't do much, and less than 3 minutes to go on the clock.
Yeah, and you got Blutus with a sentry gun wrangled. Is able to get the kill on Crime here, but and actually the heavy weapons guy runs out of ammo. Dispenser going up, but that's going to be out in a while here. He's got to wait for that to get up, but yeah, still just fine and dandy for the Russians here.
Yeah, Russia just know that every single time the kind of the cap degrades on the E point, that it's just buying them more time. It takes at least 40 to 50 seconds to get the E cap regardless. And Mignando falls into the pit.
Another offering to the gods, but I don't think the sacrifice will be enough. The Finns do have to get some players out here, but Soldier still using the shovel, not the pain train. And there goes one more. Nico Rowe, usually it's the Pyros. Oh gosh, another one! Cyber falling into the pit.
It's like they look at the Pyro pushing them in and be like, he's not going to push me in though. He pushed that guy in there. But if I try, he's not going to push me in. Goz got snipes there, and Lightclaw's falling into the pit. I'm pretty sure he just jumped into the pit. Fuzzkey's actually on an 11 kill streak right now, the sniper for Russia. So Russia just rotating around, dealing with the threat where they see it, and they're just looking as comfortable as sort of a rainy day in your slippers on the sofa. They've not really pulled out of position much at all on this defense.
Great Uber charge, popping it right before Posker died. Very low health. And also right there to support Crime if he needs it. After the Uber fades, we'll switch over to healing him. And Ripe and other players from Finland don't really have much of a choice except to back up and get heals and then try to push in again here. But with 1:10 left on the clock, it's getting extremely limited chances of pulling this off.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, as the defending team, you know that Finland have to go for the E point now. There's no chance of them capping all the other points. They have to really sort of go all in and go for the E point. And it's getting to the point where they need to have people on the cap right now, otherwise it's physically impossible. So time's a ticking, lads. But the way it's looking, I do think Russia are going to take the second round as well. And this is basically just dead time here. And Finland's, I don't know, a chance lost perhaps.
I have my chat open, and like Claw said, I fell into the pit for the stream. So I guess he's at least saying that it was all for the lulz, and maybe it was. But like Fuzzy's Huntsman, it has been effective tactics from the Russians here today. Right now, they're basically just standing around over on B. It looks like a couple of them are jumping into the pit. Offerings to the pit god. 6 players jumping to the pit, and I think blue players now starting to get in on the fun. Ripe falls in. Other players contemplating life and death, but at least Skyper and Junu says, I want to stay alive. Even though their team loses, Russia taking this 2-0. Huge plays from them, both tactically and combatively.
eXtine, do you have a minute to be able to talk to our gracious leader, the pit? all he requires is you to sacrifice himself every time you play CP Steel. I mean, Russians were always considered, like, I don't know, it was kind of a stereotype just because of some of the great Russian teams in the past, like Wasp, and the Russian national team were very, very good at Steel. No one ever wanted to play Russians on Steel. And there was some really historic matches where Russians played on Steel and just absolutely blitzed people A to E. I'm not saying that's what's happened here, but they definitely look extremely strong as a unit, as a team, and definitely, have shown they've thrown down the gauntlet here. This is probably the biggest challenge left in the group. I mean, they're in a group with Hungary and Estonia also, and they've beaten Hungary, and they just have Estonia, who, with all due respect, are probably regarded as the weakest team in the group. So Finland have a tough match against Hungary now to decide who will go through as runners-up, and Russia is probably sending a message out to everyone else and just saying, hey, look, this is a teamwork-based map, and we've just beaten a very good team on this map. Take note.
Yeah, and I think conversely, the Finns will look back at this, and I'm sure that they had plenty of highlight moments themselves for fragging, and I know that there were some good moments, some good connections there. Cyper, for sure, putting in a good shift. But overall, I think that if you're the Finnish team and you're watching this VOD back or just the replay itself, you gotta say, okay, this was a failure of kind of communication and tactics. Something that I want to talk about real quick on their last defense, so their defensive round in the second half. One thing with the defense in this map is that where you set up actually determines where the other team can push. And in a payload map, you kind of have this this straight line, of where the push is going through. So, if the second point is falling, then you head to the third point, and there's this kind of concept of retreating. But I think in this map, there's kind of the concept of where do you retreat to? So what the circumstances were was they were holding C and had a very strong hold in that hallway. And then just the one scout trying to capture C, and then they killed the scout. They lost their medic. They lost a few other players. And then it was like they had 4 players standing around C, and it's sort of this invitation to the Russians as well. They say, okay, well, you don't want us to push to C, we'll just push to E then. And I think that in that circumstance, if the Finnish players that were alive had just left C, then you actually are saying, okay, don't run us over on E, don't steamroll us or on D once you start to capture D, because we're already going to pull back and defend that. But those few players that are on C, it's not enough to defend against a concentrated effort if the Russians actually chose to go there. And then in the end, they're just kind of wasting time standing around a point that's not even getting attacked.
Exactly. I mean, it comes down to stretching the defense and trying to find a way to get through. And Russia just seems very, very adept at finding the space and going through and finding the area that's the least defended and make sure they're winning the fights. Looking at the logs, I mean, the medic stats are on screen right now. Pahan with the 5 drops. Which, for you're on the winning team and you drop 5 times, it shows kind of how well your team played in order to kind of overcome from those drops. But looking at the other stats, in 33 minutes, Crime going 33 kills, Skyper with 32, both doing very well. Crime with the 540 DPM for half an hour. That's an insane amount of damage to keep going for 30 minutes. But it's Fuzzy top fragging with the 41 kills. 9 of those are with the Huntsman, the old crossbow there. But I mean, Fuzzy is a top prem sniper. He was nominated for Sniper of the Season in the most recent Premiership season. He's been up there for a long time. He's played on the likes of Wasp. He's played on the likes of can't remember the other Russian team name. It's slipping my mind right now. But he's been around for a long time, and Ollie is no slouch. Ollie was named debut of the season in season 17. He plays in Prem as well. So for him to post these kind of stats on a map like Steel, it's really, again, sending a message out to everybody else that the Russians are here to compete. And I would definitely say they're one of the teams to watch out for